good that it worked out that way because I think we're live.
We are live. Woo! Sorry about that, guys. Up, hat back this way. We are ready to go. I'm here live again with home mat advantages guy Jacob Hewgley. He does the fantasy show. He's been doing it for a while. Now he is transitioning to another show he's going to start putting out there. It's going to be about ACC wrestling. It's going to be called the Atlantic Coast. Hat back this way.
Sorry. Apologies.
No worries. It'll be the Atlantic Coast Wrestling Report, and he'll talk about that a little bit here. But he's going to bring us what he believes the rankings will be, the sleepers will be, the big dances, ACC champs. Obviously, this is where he's going to tell us what his beliefs are. As we go through the season, you'll be able to see where his rankings are, who he believes is making a run, who he thinks is going to be there at the end. Right now, it's just predictions. So, we look forward to hearing all about the ACC, and we got Jacob here right now. First of all, before we get into all this, tell us about the Atlantic Coast Wrestling Report. Tell us what you're doing. We already know about fantasy wrestling and what you're doing on that front. You're starting a group, and go ahead, tell the world.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for having me on again. I appreciate it because, I had so much fun the other time I came on, and, we got to talk a bunch about my fantasy stuff that I've been doing for HMA for a while. And I'm just kind of getting started, kicking off another project that I've been wanting to do for a long time, but haven't actually had the time or the means or, a bunch of different factors haven't really worked out until now, just kind of coming together. I live in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and so I'm right in the middle of ACC country. 5 out of the 6 schools are within 3 hours from me, and so in Pitt's only like 6, 7 somewhere, so it's far, but it's not too bad. Actually, it might be 7, 8. Either way, it's under 8 hours. It's not too far. But since I live here, I watch a lot of ACC wrestling. I go to all the dual meets. I mean, all 3 of the Carolina teams are right within 20 minutes of me. And so, I'm a really big ACC wrestling fan. I've followed these guys. I've been to camps and clinics, and, I'm all into it and know a lot of these guys. And so I figured, nobody's, people covered the ACC, right? But they're kind of like articles here and there, right? Like Flow or the Open Mat, like they do a good job of, here's something big that happened, right? A big hire, or Mekhi Lewis wins a national title. But you don't get a whole lot of those smaller stories that you might get from the Big Ten teams. And so my idea was just to set up a platform to cover ACC wrestling, right? And so literally anything that happens, talk about, big recruits coming in, rankings, how we see the season going, previewing duels. I've had a lot of conversations with the coaches in the ACC, and they're really on board with it and having more coverage. And I look forward to having them on the show too. So I got a lot of stuff in the works right now for it. First thing is actually going to be interviewing Nathan Tomasello tomorrow about his move to Duke.
Nice. Well, man, congratulations on that. That'll be great. I haven't seen him out there yet, so hopefully you'll be one of the first. Also, don't you have some guy that hosts a show with you, Jack Mueller? Isn't he some kind of ACC wrestler too?
Yeah. So within what I'm doing, right? And so I'm the brand is ACC, or it's not ACC, Atlantic Coast Wrestling Report, right? You have to be kind of funky with the name and everything so that everybody's happy. Don't want to upset the wrong people, because all I'm trying to do is do some good coverage of the sport. I don't want anybody to be upset with me. But yeah, so underneath that umbrella, the Atlantic Coast Wrestling Report, underneath that, we're going to cover all the teams. And I've even in the works, with a couple of teams talking about doing podcasts for them. And yeah, so University of Virginia, we actually just got approval. And we're just working out the last minute details, but Jack Mueller and I will be hosting the Cavalier Wrestling Radio. So that'll be a whole lot of fun. We'll be able to, kind of deep dive more in with the coaches over there and the wrestlers, and just kind of get really inside the program, I'm really excited about it because, I loved, when the NFL does Hard Knocks, right? The NFL, they do Hard Knocks. They go in, we'll go inside the Cleveland Browns for the entire year, and you get to follow them along. That was kind of the idea behind doing a podcast for each team is getting to follow Virginia around for the year and hopefully some other teams.
That's awesome, man. And I look forward to following you along the way and seeing what we can do. Well, listen,
yeah,
ACC wrestling, man, that's your bread and butter. That's where you're heading. I know you're still going to dabble in the fantasy world a little bit, so we'll still see you on that front. So, I mean, let's get started, man. Where do you think so you want to start with ranking sleepers? Who's in the big dance at the end of the year, if we have one? ACC champs, individual teams. Where do you want to go?
We can. I actually have just put together my ACC rankings. I'm still finalizing getting a website and all kinds of stuff up so that I can put this content out. I have a lot of content sitting in Google Docs right now. But my rankings are actually done, so we could roll through that and kind of hit that a little bit. And just so everybody knows, at wrestle_ACWR is where you're going to find all this stuff. And my rankings will be out shortly, but we can talk about that first. That's cool with you.
Yeah, man, do it. Who do you think start of the wrestling season, ACC? Where do you rank them?
So starting at the top 125, my rankings are going to be Jacob.
You're not,
and then past that,
you're not coming over. You're breaking up.
We still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. Sorry about that. I live out in the middle of the woods, so connection's kind of poor sometimes.
Don't worry.
But yeah, getting back into it, 125. We're looking at the returning ACC champ, Jacob Camacho, is going to come in ranked first in the ACC for me. I think it was kind of a conversation to be had at who should be number one a little bit, because the number two for me coming in is Sam Latona from Virginia Tech. Sam Latona is coming off his redshirt year, in which he actually beat Jacob Camacho last year. So he beat Jacob Camacho 10-5 at the Southern Scuffle last year while he was redshirting. So he does have the head-to-head win, but taking a deep dive into it, first of all, it's really hard to put anybody above the returning ACC champ, right? So no matter what happened earlier in the year, Camacho, runs to the ACC tournament, taking out returning NCAA finalist Jack Mueller in the finals. And so significant wins and having that ACC title is a big deal. So 125, Jacob Camacho sitting at the top for me, followed very, very closely by Sam Latona. That's going to be a really fun one to watch play out this year. And then after that, these guys are pretty close, and it kind of was who beat who. And so after that, Louis Noel of Pitt, Patrick McCormick of UVA, Joey Melendez of UNC, and then Drake Doolittle of Duke is coming in at number 6. Again, these are the rankings are from the lineups that I can find, right? I haven't talked to the coaches too much, so I don't know exactly how those are going to fall. There might be some wrestle-offs, especially at Duke, a bunch of wrestle-offs coming. But yeah, that's 125.
Nice. Let's keep going.
Yeah, and
I like them.
We can just
keep
rolling through.
When we're done, if you want, you can go ahead and put them in the comments or whatever. Throw your rankings up there, whatever you want to do.
Absolutely. We'll just keep going. 133, kind of the same trend. We're returning the ACC champ from last year, Mickey Philippi, coming in at number 1. He actually is the ACC champ in each of the last 2 seasons. So he's a 2-time ACC champ coming into this year. And then after him, It's actually going to be Corbin Myers returning for Virginia Tech. He took a red shirt last year. I can't remember if it was an injury ordeal or if it was just a red shirt. But I want to say that there were injury problems and he kind of took the year off. And so we're looking forward to having him back for Virginia Tech. And then after that, Jamie Hernandez of UNC. He was the ACC runner-up last year, had a really good season. But, I'm looking to see a little bit more from him. I think that I've been around him and seen a lot of really good stuff from him, and I expect, upward trajectory from him. So that 2 spot is going to be a fight because you also got to throw in. I mean, when you look at 133 in the ACC, for me, it goes number 1, Mickey Philippi. I think he's kind of head and shoulders above everybody. 2 through 5 is right together. Corbin Myers, Jamie Hernandez, you got Louis Hayes of UVA and Jarrett Trombley of NC State. All 4 of those dudes are really good, really close, and it's just going to kind of play out how it plays out, right? I have my suspicions, and I obviously ranked it as such, but those guys could beat each other on any given day, and it's going to be fun to watch happen. And then at number 6, we're going to have Harrison Campbell of Duke. Again, that's who I'm projecting to be in the lineup for Duke, but there's definitely going to be a wrestle off there as well. But if we just keep going, 141, Zach Sherman of UNC. He is, again, the returning ACC champ. It's pretty cut and dry when you have the guy that won the ACC coming back. And the guy he beat in the ACC finals, Tariq Wilson, is going to be number 2, followed by Cole Matthews of Pitt, Colin Girardi of Virginia Tech, Brian Courtney of Virginia, and then Ty Mills of Duke.
Zach Sherman's a Florida kid.
He is. He definitely is. So I think he started off in Florida and then he wrestled for Blair. So he moved up to New Jersey to wrestle for Blair. But yeah, him and Tariq had a couple of good matches last year. That crazy UNC NC State duel that everybody saw that was amazing came down to the wire. I actually was there. It was super fun. But Tariq actually beat Sherman in that duel. And then Sherman got his revenge in the ACC finals. So.
That's what we do in Florida. We feed the prep schools.
Yeah. Oh, I feel you, man. I come from Georgia, where I grew up, and so as you can probably see all the Georgia stuff behind me. But yeah, same deal. Every time there's a really good kid, all of a sudden he's wrestling for Blair, or he's wrestling for Wyoming Seminary, or one of those big prep schools. Like, dude, you're hurting us, man. Stay home. Yeah, there was a kid that I think last year, the year before, he was in the Fargo finals. I think he won Fargo. And then literally the next season was wrestling for Blair. I was like, dude, I mean, good for you. Good for you. But hurt my heart a little bit as a Georgia wrestling fan. But yeah, I mean, 41 is going to be a fun one just because you got that really cool rivalry up at the top. A lot of fun to watch those two dudes do battle. And then 149 is also going to be a fun one because we've got some really good dudes returning. There is a clear-cut number 1 as for now. Austin O'Connor is going to be the number 1 guy returning 149. He won the ACC last year. He was either the 2 or 3 seed heading in the NCAA tournament. He was my pick to win the NCAA tournament. He is an absolute monster. He's one of the biggest recruits UNC has gotten in the last while. And he's just going to continue to do good things. I'm a huge Austin O'Connor fan. One, because he actually came out and ran a clinic for my high school. I was having UNC come out, and we were going to have Tony come out, Tony Ramos, and something happened at the last minute, and he had an emergency he had to take care of. And so he was like, yeah, I'm going to send you our guy, Austin O'Connor, out. And it was kind of weird because at the moment, I follow this stuff, so I know who he was. He was actually the preseason number 1 coming into the season last year. I was like, yeah, heck yeah. Got the number 1 dude in the nation coming to teach my kids. This is awesome. And he came out and it was a lot of fun. He did a great job, and he's one of my favorite college wrestlers to watch just because he beats the tar out of people. He's so heavy on the head, and just fun to watch. And last year, if you're into the ACC wrestling scene and you've watched all these duels, then when UNC wrestled Princeton last year, O'Connor wrestled Mike D'Angelo, who is very, very good. And O'Connor went out and pinned him in the first period. And then after he pinned him, I watched the guy run to the back behind the bleachers where no one could see him, grabbed a wrestler, one of the freshman dudes that was 20 pounds smaller than him, and just proceeded to beat on him for 30 minutes. It was insane. You just go pin one of the top dudes in the country and then just literally on the gym floor wrestling your butt off for 30 minutes after.
Just to get a roll in.
Dude, just insane. I mean, I at that moment I was like, wow, I'm such a huge Austin O'Connor fan. This is crazy. It's fun to watch. But I can talk about him all day. After him, I got Bryce Andonian at number 2, 149, and then Denton Spencer, number 3. Number 4 is Josh Feinsilver. 5 is AJ, I think it's Lighton. I need to make sure that I'm saying his name right. And then number 6, Luke Kemmerer of Pitt. All of these dudes from 2 to 6 are good, and it's going to be fun to watch how it shakes up. Andonian was a freshman last year that made the ACC finals that held some matches close with O'Connor. So it's going to be fun to see them do battle again. And I'm a big fan of Denton Spencer at UVA. Spencer, I think he's going to be a junior this year. He's a Georgia boy. He grew up, wrestled at a high school, not too far from where I was at. He actually, my first year coaching, our team, I was an assistant. I can't take credit for this, but our team was 42-0 heading into the state dual tournament. And we got the 4 seed, which still I'm mad to this day. But we ended up hitting the 1 seed in the semifinals, and it was his team. And that was one of our only 2 losses on the year because we ended up taking 4th. But Denton Spencer was on that team, and he is insane on top, man. If you want to watch somebody that is a really good leg rider that not only turns people, but brutally breaks people in half, you got to watch Denton Spencer. So if you're a wrestler that is listening and you're like, I want to be a leg rider, Denton Spencer, look up that name and watch him because he's so much fun to watch.
And this is all these rankings are the ones you sent me, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They are.
Yeah, 152 or something.
Yeah, 157 next. Hayden Hidley is the clear and easy number 1. He is, NCAA runner-up as a freshman, got 4th as a sophomore, got coroned last year. But I think that it was between him and Ryan Deacon last year, and I picked Hidley. I think he was going to get it done. He did get beat by Deacon earlier in the year, but I think he was going to come back and get it done on the big stage. So if you throw Corona out, in my opinion, Hidley would have been a national champ returning this year. And after him, it's a bunch of guys that kind of need to make a name for themselves, right? Justin McCoy of UVA, Connor Brady of Virginia Tech, Josh McClure of UNC, I think it's Caldes of Pitt. Again, gonna have to get in touch with these guys and make sure I'm saying their names right. Number 6, Eric Carter of Duke. And again, like I said, it's far and away Hidley's weight class. The rest of the guys just kind of need to figure it out for the pecking order after that.
It seems like NATO's got his work cut out for him because every one of your rankings has a Duke guy, number 6.
Yeah, so Duke's actually going to be really fun to follow this year because they, the program's been doing really well under Glenn Lanham, but they kind of lost some guys and lost some really good, integral pieces to their team. They had Mitch Feinsilver, All-American 2 years ago. And when those guys kind of graduated and left, they weren't left with a whole lot. And so they kind of took a punt year last year. And most of the guys that were starters, they redshirted, which ended up being good for them. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see them going forward. The thing about Duke that's hard that people don't realize is that I don't believe Duke gives athletic scholarships, at least for wrestling. So all these guys that wrestle for Duke actually got into Duke and just chose to wrestle, right? I mean, of course they were recruited, you know, but they had to get into Duke. So it's a very, very hard process for Duke to recruit. You know, it's, hey, come wrestle with us, but you got to be smart and get into Duke first. And we can't really help you with money. So it's a tough pitch, but, you know, Coach Lano's been doing a really good job over there. After that, 165, I'm super stoked about, because you have the returning national champ from 2 years ago, Mekhi Lewis. 2 years ago, Mekhi Lewis took the wrestling world by storm. Everybody knew he was good, but he was the 8 seed at NCAA tournament and came in and knocked off the number 1, number 4, and number 2 seeds on the way to a national title.
Isn't he the first in Virginia Tech history?
First ever national champ for Virginia Tech. And he actually took out the 2-time defending champ from Penn State, Vincenzo Joseph. Interesting storyline there is.
But he was probably going to win it again this year if they didn't have the corona.
Definitely could have. You know, the guys this year in the running were Vincenzo Joseph and Alex Marinelli. And he beat both of those 2 guys in the NCAA tournament when he won his. So I don't want to say that it was going to happen, because Vincenzo is amazing and Marinelli is awesome, and there's a bunch of really good dudes, Shane Griffith, Travis Whitlake. But he definitely would have been the favorite until proven otherwise.
But he's an animal.
Oh, dude, he's insane. Going to be so much fun to watch him coming back off of a red shirt. You know, he won a national title as a freshman and then redshirted. Got to think he only got better. So we'll see. We'll see what kind of monster comes back on the mat for Virginia Tech. He might actually be 174. I've heard rumblings that he might be going up to 174, but we're going to leave him at 165 until we hear for sure. After him, Jake Wenzel actually won the ACC last year at Pitt. Obviously, my trend, I've been putting the ACC champion first, and I think that's the right thing to do. But it's kind of a different situation when you got the returning national champ. So national champ 1, ACC champ 2.
National champ trumps ACC champ?
Yep, it does. And so Jake Wenzel at number 2. Number 3 is Thomas Bullard, another guy that if you're listening and you want to be a leg rider, Thomas Bullard is Thomas and his brother Daniel, who's at 174. The Bullard brothers are really somebody to watch for that. Go look them up and watch them just beat on people mercilessly. I also really like them. Again, some Georgia boys. They're actually a fun story for them. I don't know them personally, but they wrestled in Georgia, and they were both 4-time state champs in Georgia. And actually their senior year, right? Senior year, they were committed to NC State, and their team was close with another team for winning the team state title. So again, at this point, they're both 3-time state champs, going for 4. And at this point, they noticed that they have a guy in the lineup at 160. They're wrestling 60 and 70. They have a guy in the lineup at 160 that's the backup that's good enough to win a state title. And they decided, we're just both going to bump up and we're going to let him in, because that's going to help our team. And so they did. Instead of going 60 and 70, which is the weight they went 70 and 82, and they bumped in Gabriel Lee at 160. Lee made the finals. I can't remember if he won or got second. He won a state title at one point, but I can't remember if it was that year or not. And then they both won titles at 70 and 82, bumping up.
Wow. So one. So is that? So man. So what do you have? North Carolina as the top school, it sounds like.
Yeah. You know, when you go through, so what I did is I went through and I ranked all these guys, right? And then I took the seeds of each of them and went and averaged them together, right? So all of NC State seeds, and I averaged them together, all of, you know, UNC seeds. And whoever had the lowest score was the top seed in the ACC right now, or the top ranked team. And yeah, NC State is definitely the team to beat right now. They won the ACC last year, and you know, my rankings worked out that way.
Not the Tar Heels.
Yeah, NC State Wolfpack. Yep.
You got Wolfpack 1.
I got the shirt on right now, man.
I like it. So what you got? NC State, one of the Virginias.
So for me, the ranking of the teams is actually NC State, Virginia Tech, UNC, Pitt, UVA, and Duke.
That's what I thought.
I know.
To your rankings, I wrote down NC State, Virginia Tech, North Carolina, Pitt, UVA, Duke. Just listening to you doing the individual rankings,
And
that's what I wrote down because it just seemed like, well, every Duke wrestler you had at the bottom, so I knew that was there. And then
it's just a tough situation there, man. But they're coming back. They're going to be
obviously
up and doing well.
The loss of Mueller for Virginia is huge.
Yeah, and that's what I was about to say. Mueller's going to give me crap when he hears about my team rankings because Virginia Tech actually finished number 5 last year at the ACC tournament, so they were towards the bottom. But again, they got some stud people coming back from redshirt, so that gives them a lot of points they didn't have last year.
And some good recruits. Virginia has recruited well too. They got a Florida kid going up there that's going to be one to look out for too. So that'll be fun. So what did we go through? 180. What?
So we were still 165. Just to wrap it up, I had Mekhi Lewis, Jake Wenzel, Thomas Bullard, Cam Coy, Kennedy Monday, and Benjamin Anderson from Duke at the bottom. Kennedy Monday had number 5, kills me because he's one of the most talented guys in this weight class, maybe in the country. He just, he decides when he wants to show up sometimes. He teched David McFadden last year, who at the time was like the number 3 ranked guy in the nation. And then he shows up to ACCs and goes 0-2. And so it's just depends on who you get.
His brother's not bad at Princeton.
Quincy's very good. Quincy actually graduated from the high school that I teach at. So every time I'm walking up down the hallways, I can see a picture of Quincy. But yeah, moving down 174, Clay Lott of UNC is going to be the number 1. Again, returning ACC champ. Got to put him at the top. Number 2, Matt Finesilver of Duke. 3, Daniel Bullard of NC State. 4, Greg Harvey of Pitt. 5, Cody Howard of Virginia Tech. 6, Robert Patrick of Virginia. And, right here, Lott, Finesilver, and Bullard are kind of the guys pushing for an ACC title, at least for right now. Again, I hope I'm wrong. I hope we get into this and some of these other dudes are like, I can't believe what he said about me. I'm just going to destroy the ACC.
I'm going to get to learn so much about the ACC talking to you.
Yeah. But yeah, 174, man. Clay Lott, he actually was thrust into the lineup because Devin Kane got hurt. Devin Kane got hurt for the Tar Heels last year to start the season. I think he tore his ACL and was out for the whole year. He was actually the year before, the last time we had an NCAA tournament, Devin Kane was the number 33 seed in the NCAA tournament. He was the last seed and ended up making the blood round. So he was 1 match away from placing. And so that was kind of a big hit for them. But Clay Lott stepped in and won the freaking ACC. So, you can't ask for much more out of you dude stepping in.
And how good has the ACC become? I mean, how obviously you had 2 NCAA champs the last time there was an NCAA tournament, right? And with Mekhi and the big dude you like.
So you had one the last time. Mekhi won in was it 2019? I guess 2019. Mekhi won. The year before that, I believe, was when Mike Machiavello of NC State won.
Yes.
And you got to go back 3 or 4 years to when Gwiz was winning titles.
He's a really nice guy.
Yeah,
I had him on. So yeah, how do they? I mean, how good have they become, the ACC, and are they able to compete with the other conferences now?
Oh, absolutely. One of the reasons I'm so excited to talk about the ACC and to really get more broad with ACC coverage is because they've stepped up their game tremendously. Like when I was in high school coming up, it was the Big Ten, and then you had the Big 12 right past them, right? And then all the other ones kind of filtered in. Some were really good this year, and blah blah. But in my opinion, I think the ACC is the second best conference behind the Big Ten right now. The Pac-10's done really good. Big 12 is still really good, but I will put the ACC guys up there with those guys any day. And even only having 6 teams in the ACC, I definitely think it's the second toughest division in college wrestling.
In my short 4-month stay in this wrestling world,
yeah,
the SoCon looks pretty tough. I've been keeping an eye on them too, and they went from like having one team that could compete to where they've got 3 or 4 now, right?
Yeah, they're definitely building it up down there. They're getting a lot better for sure as well. There's a couple more North Carolina teams.
Man, you could have just been a North Carolina wrestling report and had some of the best schools in the country.
I believe there's 6 D1 schools in North Carolina, which is awesome. More wrestling for me.
It's awesome for you.
I'm a junkie, man. I can't get enough wrestling.
Oh, man. Well, keep going, man. Keep going. Where do we go to next?
Yeah, good. Well, I appreciate you breaking me up every once in a while because I gotta stop every once in a while and talk about answer a question or something.
Well, I think hopefully we can do this often, and I'll have to start studying the ACC so that I don't sit here and go, yeah, great job. All right. Who's that guy? Oh yeah, great. Because right now I'm just like, hey, I know Zach Sherm. I know who that guy is.
Yeah.
I don't know who anyone else is. No.
Well, man, I can't wait for wrestling to get back because you're gonna actually get to dive into all these teams. You've done such a great job since March, April, whenever you started.
April 6th.
I mean, basically jumping in only knowing that your kid wrestled, basically, to where you're at. This is amazing. I'm really excited to see you grow once wrestling's actually going on.
Yeah, I can't wait to do it. Somebody's asked about Maryland. Didn't Maryland move to the Big Ten?
Yeah, Maryland's in the Big Ten. They were in the ACC. I can't remember when they moved over, but yeah, they're in the Big Ten now.
Yes. Anthony Harrell, they are no longer in the ACC, sir. They have moved on.
Yeah. It was fairly recent too. So yeah, don't worry about that one because it was within the last 5 years, maybe. Yeah, it wasn't too long ago.
That's awesome. But
yeah, we can keep going.
How many more do we have?
3 more. So 184 is a fun one. 184 is going to be as crazy as 184 was nationally last year in the ACC. Hunter Bolin at number 1, again, returning ACC champion. Number 2, Trent Hidley. He made the finals against Hunter Bolin last year and fell short. Number 3, Ninavana Corsi of Pitt. 4, Devin Kane of UNC. 5, Michael Batista of Virginia. 6, Kai Blake of Duke. This one, the top 4 are really good, and it's gonna be interesting to see it play out. And I hate saying that, man, because Batista and Blake are also amazing wrestlers, right? But what I mean by that is that we've seen Bolin, Hidley, Bonacorsi, and Kane on the level of the top competition this far, and Bolin and Hidley both could have won a national title last year. I wouldn't have put Bonacorsi in there he definitely could have broke through and done it, but it was maybe more realistic to see Bolin and Hidley in the finals. But yeah, so you got Hunter Bolin, Trent Hidley coming back and are very, very good, very proven. Same with Nino Bonacorsi. And then number 4, I'm so stoked to see Devin Kane. Again, I get to talk about Georgia boys, man. But Devin Kane is coming back after missing last season with a torn ACL. Like I said, last season, the NCAA tournament, the year before, made the round of 12. So I'm really excited to see what happens when he comes back, because it's kind of crazy to see a guy, the last seed, and then almost get on the podium. You're like, holy crap, this dude's really good. Like, this is awesome. And then he's gone for a year, you know? So excited to see him back on the mat and what happens there. He's actually one of my most fond memories from Georgia, the Georgia State Wrestling Tournament. He was a 2-time state champ in Georgia. He moved to Georgia as a sophomore. And so he won it as a sophomore, junior, and then his senior year, he actually tore his ACL. So I think he's done it twice. But his sophomore year, right, he was, everybody knew he was super good, but didn't know the level he was on. And he got the finals, and he was wrestling this guy that was already a 2-time state champ, going for 3. Everybody's just amazing. Everybody knew him. He actually plays in the NFL now. His name is Rock Ya-Sin. He's a cornerback for the Indianapolis Colts. But yeah, Devin King went in there, and I think he was getting beat and just got on top, sunk the half in, and rake over half, pinned him. Just the whole place, just like, oh my God, what happened? It was really cool. But sorry, I get down rabbit holes, man. You got
the kids in the NFL.
Yeah. You gotta keep me on track.
I wonder what wrestling meant for that football player.
Yeah.
So you basically went all chalk right now. ACC champ. Is there you went all chalk right now, basically 1-2s. But is there sleepers in there? Is there anybody in any of these weight classes that you would say, yeah, I went chalk, but that guy there I'm looking at out of the side of my face, you know?
Yeah, for sure. So if we're going back through it, you're starting off at 125, Sam Latona. I said it a little bit, how he beat Jacob Camacho last year. And Jacob Camacho's ranked number 1, but Sam Latona, when he beat Camacho last year at the Southern Scuffle, the score was 10-5, which seems kind of close, but in reality, that's because Latona took Camacho down 5 times. So he took him down 5 times and let him up 5 times. So pretty solid beating over the guy that eventually won the ACC title. I don't really think it's a super sleeper. I think that if you're really into ACC wrestling and you maybe you follow Virginia Tech, but if you're kind of just getting into the ACC coverage, then he's definitely a sleeper and definitely a dude to watch. Sam Latona, Virginia Tech. 133. I mean, I think that Louis Hayes is definitely somebody to watch for Virginia. I think he has a lot of potential. He's beaten a lot of really good dudes. He's held it close with Mickey Philippi. I think Mickey Philippi beat him 1-0 last year. So he's somebody definitely to keep an eye on. 41, I think it's kind of laid out. Cole Matthews from Pitt is kind of fun to watch. He can be kind of a big move guy sometimes. I don't want to say that's his game because it's not, but if you want to watch a match and a guy might, throw some crazy move and end up pinning a guy that he's not supposed to beat, that'd be Cole Matthews.
What about that kid Monday? Like, you talked about him, like, he doesn't really put the effort, but is he the type of kid that can get on a streak? And if he wrestles to his level, can he run through it?
Absolutely. So Kennedy Monday, again, if you haven't been following for too long, definitely is going to be a sleeper guy for you. A couple years back, he actually, in the NCAA tournament, he was unseeded and he took out the number 2 seed. And so that's when he really burst on the scene. I think that was his freshman year, making the NCAA tournament and then taking out the number 2 seed was really something special. But, since then, it's just been kind of up and down. It just depends. If Kennedy Monday can put it together and consistently put the best Kennedy Monday on the mat, the dude's a national title contender. Absolutely. It's been up and down. And so, it just depends on who steps out. His dad, if you don't follow wrestling, is a legend. Kenny Monday, look him up, was a gold medalist in the Olympics for the United States. So his dad's an absolute legend. He's got a brother at Princeton that is doing great things. But yeah, he's definitely somebody to watch. I think the other guy that these weights that we went through so far, and I already said a little bit about him, but Denton Spencer, I really do believe is very, very good, and could wreck a lot of people's weekends. I've seen him go out there and wrestle guys that were ranked way higher than him. I can't remember exactly what the name of the dude was from Arizona State. I want to say Josh Kramer, but I think I'm wrong. One of the Arizona State guys he wrestled last year was ranked in the top 10 by Flow, and Denton went out there, took him down, and got on top and cranked a power half where I thought he was going to break his arm off and pinned him in the first period. And so, yeah, he's somebody to watch.
Is there anybody behind the scenes that can really screw up your rankings? So any kids coming in, any kids that were off the red shirt, anybody that could become the starter? Is there anybody in those rooms that you're looking at going, wow, they can make a move?
So the ACC, again, has gotten way better. There's a lot of really good recruits in those rooms, and there's a lot of dudes that I could say. One that one that hits right off the top of my head immediately is Ryan Jack at NC State. Ryan Jack, I think he's going to be either a 41 or a 49 pounder. He's redshirting this year, so we won't see him. But from Connecticut, he's the younger brother of Kevin Jack, who wrestled for NC State. That was, I believe, a 3-time All-American. Ryan Jack wrestled in Who's Number One for Flow last year. He ended up losing, but he was winning for the majority of the match, and kind of got just I don't want to say he got screwed, because I don't think the call was bad, but it was one of those where he was winning the entire match and then lost in the last 5 seconds.
I was texting with Jamel Morris earlier.
Yeah, no, for sure. There's a bunch of really good dudes.
They were good NC State wrestlers. He and his brother. I don't believe he's got a twin brother because he never shows up on the show.
Maybe you don't know. Maybe they alternate and show up different times.
No, I've seen him. I've seen him in pictures.
Yeah. But yeah, through those first, a bunch of weight classes, those are really the sleeper guys that I've seen. We'll just finish off the last 2 weights and we'll hit whatever kind of questions or what we want to do.
I know that you've got about 15 minutes.
Yeah. Pick my wife up from dental school.
I know you've got to run. So I think the long part is the rankings and then the rest is just.
Yeah, so
who you think's gonna make it?
197, real quick. JILO at number 1, Brandon Whitman, or JILO Virginia at number 1, Brandon Whitman, UNC, Nick Reenan of NC State, Caden Russell of Duke, Stanley Smeltzer of Virginia Tech, and then Cole Nye of Pitt, or how I have it laid out. JILO, he had a great season last year. Hung with a lot of those top guys, and was definitely going to be an All-American if you ask me. If COVID didn't hit, he was an All-American last year, anyways, because they granted All-American honors to people, and I agree with what they did because while we pride ourselves on being a sport that earns an All-American honor, when you have that taken away from you, you shouldn't feel bad about getting it. So they earned those seeds and they earned what they got. But JILO, I think, is a national title contender this year. I think he could easily win the national championship. So he's head and shoulders above the rest of the ACC for me. Nick Reenan's definitely a dude to watch, though. He is a huge recruit. I think it's his senior year. He was a huge recruit coming into NC State and just kind of has battled a lot of injuries through the years. Never really able to see a healthy Nick Reenan. But the one time that we did see a healthy Nick Reenan, he made it to the Final X. He made it to Final X against David Taylor. So
how'd that work out?
He did not win. Yeah, but dude is good. Dude is real good. He's been a lot of injuries, man. If we see a healthy Nick Reenan, him and JIL is going to be a lot of fun. Jumping down last weight class, 285 pounds. Deontay Wilson of NC State is the returning ACC champ. John Boris of Virginia Tech, Andrew Gunning of UNC, Quinn Miller of Virginia, Jacob Slinger of Pitt, and Noah Niesenbaum, I want to say, of Duke.
Say that name again 3 times.
I am not. And Jonah, if you are listening, I'm very sorry. Don't hurt me. because I'm a lot smaller than you are. But yeah, no, it's gonna be a fun weight too, man. I like Deontay Wilson of NC State. He was the savior for the Wolfpack in that big NC State UNC duel last year, where it came down to heavyweight, and he won the duel for the pack. He got consistently better and better all year, and I actually took my wrestling team to the NC State camp last summer, and so we saw him a lot. And man, he's a big old dude, nice guy. If you've ever been around him, there's no way you're not pulling for him. Really good dude. So happy to see him doing well.
So you've got, I'm guessing as far as ACC champs, you've got NC State winning it all.
Yeah. For right now, the way it's looking, if it all shakes out the way that I think it's going to, yeah. But again, so rankings are kind of difficult to do sometimes, because for me, when I do rankings, I take all of the subjectivity out of it, and I just go by, who beat who, and championships, all kinds of, like, I try to make sure that it's not influenced by what I think. Because like I said, there's some dudes in there that are going to do better than they're ranked right now for sure. But I had to rank it according to, stats and what people have earned.
So of the 10 guys that you have at the top, how many of them make the dance?
Oh man, ACC is gonna have a lot. I mean, I could roll through it and tell you all the people I think, but it would take forever.
Okay.
I think it's more of a question there of who's not, because the majority of them are gonna make it.
Okay. So out of the ones that make it, how many do you see make an All-American?
Again, that's where, I mean, I'll roll through real quick, right? 125, Camacho and Latona are definitely All-American threats. 133, Mickey Philippi for sure. Corbin Myers could, Jamie Hernandez could. 41, Zach Sherman and Tariq Wilson are definitely threats. 149, Austin O'Connor and Bryce Andonian, I think, are for sure. 57, Hayden Hidley. 65, Mekhi Lewis, obviously is a national champ. I think Wenzel and Bullard also. Kennedy Monday as well. 74, Lott, Fine Silver, Bullard. 84, Bolin, Hidley, Bonacorsi, Kane. 97, Aiello, Renan. And then 285, possibly Wilson, but that's a hard one for the ACC there.
You could really see the ACC, God willing, we have wrestling, right? You could see the ACC making some noise.
Oh, for sure. There's going to be teams in the top 10 from the ACC for sure. Possibly even teams sneaking into the top 5. So they got a bright future, man. A lot of really good dudes, more great wrestlers coming through the pipeline.
Yeah, and that's awesome, man. And I appreciate you coming on and kind of shouting out your show and kind of doing your thing, man. And hope I can be with you along the way. I hope we can do this more often. And welcome to come on anytime.
Absolutely, man. I had a lot of fun. Make sure you're following ACC wrestling, man. Get out there, follow all the teams. They all have Twitter accounts. They all have Facebook pages and all that kind of stuff. Anywhere, go follow some ACC wrestling. My Twitter handle is @HMA Jacob. And then also my Twitter for all of my ACC coverage is Atlantic Coast Wrestling Report. We will soon hopefully have a website up and have, everywhere where we can put stuff. But right now we're just on Twitter. So I appreciate it, man.
Sure, I know you're going to pick up your wife, but make sure when you get back, you throw all your information into the comments so that people can check out your new page, people can find you, people can follow you for your rankings, your seedings, everything from there. You can post in my group and stuff anytime. And whenever you go live, if you want to go live through my page, we can do that. Or if you want to go in your group and then share it, feel free. You're welcome to utilize it.
I'm definitely going to take you up on that for sure. especially starting out right now, man, you get the big platform you've built. It's awesome. I love coming on, and definitely going to take you up on that. I will say real quick before you got to kick me off. I'm really excited. What I'm putting together right now is I'm going through and I'm writing an article for each team lineup preview. So NC State, and I roll through and I talk about every single dude on the roster, who they got, who I think is going to be the starter, kind of what I think is going to happen for them this year. And then with that, I'm also going to be recording a podcast with somebody from each of the teams. So for example, when I do North Carolina, I'm going to have possibly one of the North Carolina coaches on the podcast with me, rolling through talking about the lineup for the year, and
Cool.
And so on and so forth. Hopefully we'll get all 6.
Tomorrow, are you going live, or are you just doing the recording and then you'll post it?
We're just going to do the recording tomorrow. Unfortunately, I don't have everything 100% set up yet.
No worries, but look forward to, as you all know, what's going on with NATO. Well, NATO's going to be on with him tomorrow. They're going to do an interview, and then I'm sure he'll post it. He's on Rockfin, he's on Twitter, he's on Facebook, and I'm sure they'll get it out to everyone. Hey, man, I have a wife too, so you better go get her, or else you're going to be in some trouble.
Yeah, yeah, I might have twice as much time to talk about ACC wrestling if I don't get her.
Yeah, man, hit me up later. See you, brother.
For sure. See you, man.